Welcome back to the next part of where you feel comfortable based off of your South Node. So in my last video, I spoke about what the South Node represents and how you can actually utilize it to your advantage in this lifetime. Now, your South Node in astrology, a lot of ancient astrologers say that a lot of the wisdom that you gained in your past life was kind of pulled in and brought into you with this life. So this is basically your South Node is what makes you comfortable in this lifetime, whereas your North Node is kind of the mission and purpose and destiny of where you're going towards in this lifetime. So your North Node kind of opposes your South Node in that way, where your South Node you don't necessarily have to work for. It's kind of just your innate talent and ability regardless. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of what you've came into this life with in general. And so this all depends on kind of where your South Node is in your chart, as well as kind of the other planets that you have in this chart. Like I said before, there's a little disclaimer. I am a practicing astrologer. I've been practicing for about 2 to 3 years. So this is a general basic interpretation of what the South Node means for you. So this, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. And I just want to share this from what I've learned in terms of what the South Node represents. And so continuing on, let's get to my fifth sign of the zodiac, which is my Leos. Shout out to my Leos out there. If you have a Leo South Node, you are very comfortable in the spotlight. You're very comfortable, like having a sun in the sign of Leo is kind of different than having a South Node, because a lot of Leo suns are very, very shy. A lot of the Leo suns, they don't necessarily like attention. They don't necessarily like being seen, right? And a lot of Leo's mission in this lifetime is to embrace themselves and to express themselves authentically. And with you having your South Node here, it's very comfortable for you to do that. It's comfortable for you to be confident and be expressive and kind of just show your chest out to everybody else. You know what I mean? This is going to be one of your advantages in this lifetime. This is something that you're very comfortable with. You're very comfortable being being in a public setting, being the kind of the head of your company, right? Being a leader, you have a very comfortable attitude when it comes to leadership, as well as expressing yourself in an authentic way. And you could also be very generous as well. One of your challenges though is sacrificing a little bit of that spotlight for, kind of helping the community out. You know what I mean? You want to be able to ultimately give yourself to other people and find careers in order where you're able to build a community of people that kind of rally behind you. You know what I mean? Your North Node is going to be in Aquarius, so you're going to have to get familiar with being unique, and being kind of on your own, right? Not necessarily being seen for what you had entailed, for yourself. It might differ to your path, and accepting that that's okay, and accepting that you have a unique path for yourself is what's going to be key in this lifetime. And so there's my Leo. Moving on to the sixth sign of the zodiac, my Virgos. If you have a Virgo South Node, you're very comfortable with your routine. You know what I mean? Your routine is something that's very, very comfortable for you in your life. You might also be very comfortable with pets. You might enjoy having pets. But in this lifetime, you're very detail oriented. So one of your gifts in this lifetime is being structured and being organized. You're a very organized based sign, and you might also be very quick-witted as well. You might be funny, because when we think of Virgo, the planet that rules Virgo is actually Mercury, which is the jester, the joker. But it also is the planet that rules over the mind and intellectual stimulation. So you might be somebody who picks up on information very, very quickly. And how you can utilize this to your advantage is with that North Node in Pisces, is understanding that you can still be structured and you can still have your routines, but you're going to want to have to take a pause on life, and you're going to want to take a few deep breaths. You're stepping away from the analytical part of yourself and stepping more into that side of spirituality and religion. Oftentimes people with the South Node in Virgo are very religious people. So you might find a religion that very much you identify with, right? And practicing and adopting beliefs within yourself that you identify with that are going to help you progress in this lifetime is going to be ultimately key for you in this life. So kind of understanding and that intellect is very important, and how you speak, your routines and everything like that, it's very comfortable for you. But utilizing this in order to challenge yourself, to kind of step outside the norm, and to do things that are a little bit less structured might be beneficial towards you. And so that's kind of what you're comfortable with if you have a Virgo South Node. Moving on to my Libras, if you have a Libra South Node, one of my former friends has this placement. You're very comfortable with people. One of your innate talents in this lifetime is being able to connect with people. You're just a very likable person, in general. People with their South Node in Libra are just very much people. A lot of the times with people who have their South Node in Libra, they might not even like people that much, but people like them, like just naturally, you know what I mean? It's like they don't even really have to try in order to gain people's attention, because they just come off they have this innate grace and this innate beauty about them that attracts a lot of people towards them. And so if you have a Libra South Node, you might be naturally beautiful. You might naturally have a knack for aesthetics and for design and just for beauty in general. You might also be a musician, right? Because when we take Libra, the ruling planet of Libra is actually Venus, which rules, music and everything that is divine feminine. And so my Libra South Nodes out there, one of your challenges is going to be kind of bringing in a sense of independence within your life. You know what I mean? One of the challenges with the Libra South Node is that a lot of you guys might not feel super comfortable sticking up for yourself because you're so used to being nice. A lot of the times Libra South Nodes can fall victim of being nice people, where people kind of just walk all over you. And one of your challenges in this life is understanding that you have your own opinions and you're allowed to set up and put up your own boundaries, right? And kind of stepping away from a life of codependency and stepping into a life of independence is kind of what your mission is in this lifetime. And so balancing that people person attitude that you're natural, that you have a natural charm and talent with actually sticking up for yourself and having your own boundaries is going to ultimately allow you to evolve and achieve the success that you desire within this lifetime. So that brings me to my 8th sign of the zodiac, which is Scorpio. Anything Scorpio, it's tough. And I'm just going to say that as a Scorpio rising, if you have any type of Scorpio placements, you are built in this life for challenge. You know what I mean? You're meant to be comfortable with kind of traumatic situations that happen in your life. Chaos, right? It's ruled by Pluto. Pluto shakes things up and it causes unpredictability, right? And so you're kind of comfortable in the chaos. You might you might have a natural intuition about you. You might have a natural drawing. You might be drawn naturally to occult and mystical kind of darker themes, darker subjects. You might really enjoy true crime documentaries. You might enjoy Halloween, right? That kind of these like darker themes within your life are things that you're comfortable with. You enjoy it. You might really love scary movies. And you just love a kind of a dark aesthetic about you. These are things that you're comfortable with, right? But kind of one thing that is a challenge for you that might be challenging is understanding that your life doesn't always have to be chaos. You know what I mean? You can choose a life that is kind of stable and grounded for yourself, and stepping into that, where you don't have to kind of necessarily be aggressive and controlling all the time. You know what I mean? Coming into this Taurus North Node, one of your biggest lessons is understanding that patience, you know what I mean? And understanding to kind of wait your turn, and to understand that it's okay to kind of sit out for a little bit. You don't always have to be super active, whether it's you're active in your mind or active in your speech or active in your emotions. You can kind of learn to take a chill pill a little bit. You know what I mean? You're so used to and you're comfortable with a lot of chaos and everything's always moving back and forth, to being more patient and more calm natured within yourself. And when you can balance the two, then that is ultimately when you are going to strive for the most success and abundance in your life. So I hope this helps you, my Scorpio North Nodes. Part 3 will be up on my page soon. I hope you guys enjoyed this one.